week 2 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few running backs I looked to add off the waiver wire this week. So right now, I know it was week 1, but there's some interesting situations and some injuries as well going on here with a decent waiver wire for this running back position. The first back's Kyren Williams, a Los Angeles Rams. So we heard last season that Williams possibly could have been the starter as the year was going on, but Cam Akers had a couple breakout games towards the end of the year. But right here in week 1, it pretty much looked like Williams' backfield. 15 carries, 52 rush yards, and 2 touchdowns at the goal line. I know Akers had one late in the third quarter in that game on 4th and goal. He did score a touchdown, but right now, Kyren Williams, he's a better receiver out of the backfield. They like him at the goal line. Obviously, he's this Los Angeles Ram team, and he's coming off a huge game. Right now, he's available in 96% of fantasy leagues, and to be honest, Cam Akers, I know he scored the touchdown, like I mentioned, but he had 22 carries for 29 yards. That's not going to get the job done for Cam Akers, only averaging a little bit over 1 yard per carry. So Kyren Williams looked like the better back. I know he got out-touched in this one with obviously receptions and carries. It was Williams 22-17, but they were trying to run the clock out towards the end of the game because the majority of the game, the carries were split between both guys. But right now, Kyren Williams at the running back position, like I said, he could catch the ball out of the backfield. He got the big goal line touches earlier in the game, and he's just a better back, honestly. So right now, he's the pickup of the week for me at the running back position, and he's available right now 96% of fantasy leagues. Next back's Roscoe Johnson of the Chicago Bears. I know the Bears, they were trailing just about the whole ball game here versus the Packers in week 1, but Roscoe Johnson, he's could catch the ball out of the backfield. I know they got Foreman and Herbert, but a guy in deeper leagues is a decent flex option. I think Johnson could be a decent add. Right now available in 85% of fantasy leagues. So week 1, 5 carries, 20 yards, a touchdown, and he had 6 catches for 35 yards. He's definitely the third down back and passing downs back over there is Roscoe Johnson for the Chicago Bear team. So right now he can make some plays on the perimeter. He fits this offense pretty well, obviously, with an elusive and running quarterback like a Justin Fields. And he's got a pretty decent matchup at the Tampa Bay Bucs in week 2. So right now in deeper leagues, he's more of an ad, but definitely a play that can help fantasy owners. This week, the next running back's Justice Hill of the Baltimore Ravens. So reports are coming out that J.K. Dobbins most likely torn his Achilles. That's going to end the season, and possibly his career could be in jeopardy. He's had a torn Achilles already in his career. So Justice Hill, he got the 2 goal line stampers in that ball game for this Baltimore Raven team, and it pretty much was a split between him and Gus Edwards. So right now, Hill in week 1 versus Houston, 8 carries, 9 yards with the 2 touchdowns. He's the better receiver out of him and Edwards. But if a running back's going to take the full workload or majority load in between the tackles, I think Gus Edwards would be the guy, even though, like I said, Hill did get 2 goal line touches in this ball game. So right now, Hill's available 97% of fantasy leagues. But to be honest, this backfield, it just seems like it doesn't produce a lot of great numbers throughout the fantasy football season. Obviously, when you got a running quarterback like a Lamar Jackson and a tight end like Mark Andrews, even though he did miss week 1, where he's going to get a lot of red zone looks as well. So right now, Hill out there in 97% of fantasy leagues. And Gus Edwards, right now, he's out there, not as many leagues, but still 81% of leagues. And he had the 8 carries as well for 32 yards and 2-point conversion. So this is going to be a committee, obviously, over there in Baltimore. Dobbins, he just can't catch a break. We know he's a talented running back, but each and every season, injuries have just been the problem for Dobbins. And like I said, his best years are probably behind him, and his career could be in jeopardy. You never know. So right now, we know it's going to be a dogfight in week 2 here for Baltimore. But you got to go out there and get both these guys and just see how the backfield shakes out. I like Gus Edwards better because, like I said, he's got more experience as a starter. He's more an in-between the tackles type of runner as well as Gus Edwards. And right now, if I got to go in order, I'd probably go Kyren Williams, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Johnson right now for guys to add off the wire. The next running back is Kenneth Gainwell of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Kenneth Gainwell, reports came out on Sunday morning that he was going to get a bump up in carries and stuff. And Rashad Penny was a healthy scratch in this ball game. So right now, Gainwell, obviously, he's not on the priority list as much as his other guys because he's only available right now 54% of fantasy leagues. But he definitely looked like the man in that backfield over there for Philadelphia. 14 carries, 54 rush yards, 4 catches, 20 yards. So right now, we know they got DeAndre Swift. And like I said, Penny was a healthy scratch as well. And DeAndre Swift, he didn't do anything in that ball game for Philadelphia. Only a carry for 3 yards, catch for no yards on 2 targets. So right now, Kenneth Gainwell looks like the running back in there in Philly. He's a 3-down type of back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Swift, he wasn't a factor, even though I know it's week 1. Things could change quickly. But even Boston Scott, we saw him in there in that ball game as well. He only got 1 carry and 1 catch. So right now, I know it's a Thursday night game, a quick turnaround for Philadelphia. But like I said, right now, it looks like Kenneth Gainwell's the man. And I actually would start him as a flex option versus the Minnesota Vikings coming to town. This Viking defense isn't all that great. We know Philly has tons of threats where Gainwell, the defense really isn't planning for much when they got to worry about A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts running out there from the quarterback position. So right now, well, he's available in 54% of fantasy leagues, and he's got a big role. It looks like it's great offense over there in Philly. I definitely will give him an ad this week. And the final running back I looked at off the wire this week here is Joshua Kelly, a Los Angeles Chargers. So Joshua Kelly, he got a big workload in this one, even though we know Austin Eckler obviously is the number 1 running back there, but they want to give him a little bit of break. And this Charger offense, they run tons of plays, obviously, each and every season. With this dynamic offense and the Kellen Moore type of offense, we know he's used to using 2 backs when he was the coordinator in Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. So Kelly in week 1, 16 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. So we know he's a big bull running back, is Joshua Kelly. And he gets some goal line looks as well throughout the season. And now he's got a decent matchup at the Tennessee Titans in week 2. He's available in 96% of fantasy leagues. I'm not saying to go out there and obviously run to the wire, but in deeper leagues, he's definitely a guy worth adding. Obviously, is Joshua Kelly, because he did have 16 carries. And Eckler had the 16 carries as well, which is surprising. They both had the same amount of carries, but Eckler obviously 4 catches as well in the ball game. But right now, they're pretty much touch-wise split 21-16 total in this ball game. But anyway, he's definitely a running back to look at, because if Eckler went down, his value in that lineup would be huge. And like I said, to go in there splitting with Eckler and have a big ball game like he did with 16 fantasy points is definitely something to keep an eye on. So that's a few running backs I look to add here. A few running backs I look to add off the wire here, week 2 of the fantasy football season.